Welcome to this unique financial channel, $1 Million Made Easy. Here you're going to learn about vital financial concepts like the following listed below. Because of time's sake, I want to keep these short, so I'm just going to look at number 3, the impact inflation can have on your nest egg. This is so important to understand. As I say right here, one of the best ways to learn about the above issues is to see the actual historical numbers in action. We use the last 100 years of data from the S&P 500. You're going to see a wide range of possible outcomes. We figure if your plan can survive some of these worst case scenarios, you can feel more confident. So let's go ahead and this is one of the spreadsheets. I realize there's a whole lot of numbers are going to be shown here, but let's just take, for example, somebody that's 44 years old, has 50,000 saved up already, can contribute $500 a month, increase that 3% a year. Again, there's a whole lot of numbers I'm throwing at you. And let's say you're getting 2,000 Social Security. And let's say, for example, your expenses today are 5,000, so we don't know what they're going to be in the future, but we're going to go ahead and use inflation to run these numbers. And this is what we really want to key on right here. Now, what we do on this channel is look at what's happened for the last 100 years in the S&P 500, and we just project ahead what similar returns might do for you in the future. So if we had these kind of numbers that I've just entered right here, in the worst case in the last 100 years, you would have a sum of money after 23 years. You can see it right there. You'd have 609,000, and you'd have more than that all the way up. That's the range we're talking about. You could have as much as 3.340 million, depending on what sequence of returns you're getting here. So what we want to do is for a worst case scenario, you got this kind of money, and then you start withdrawing this kind of money. Again, this 5,000 is going to grow by a certain inflation rate. We're going to show you the importance of inflation because we're going to run it at 3% initially. And after 23 years, you would need $9,868 to have the same buying power as 5,000 today. That's 23 years at 3% inflation. We also look at the Social Security. That's going to, if you're getting 2,000 now, that's going to also inflate. This year's COLA was 2.5%. So this is what you'd be getting from Social Security. Again, these are all estimates. So you're going to need 6,339 coming from your nest egg. Now, the worst case scenario, if you had this kind of money and started withdrawing this, you'd be out of money in 39 years. Second worst, you wouldn't have a problem. Third worst, and so on. Now, what happens if we retire at age 66? Just to show you the difference here. These are the actual numbers. You're running out of money in 19 years because you have one less year for these monies to grow. But anyway, the whole point of this video is to show you the importance of inflation. So I'm going to go back to 67 here. Looks like you're in good shape every scenario, except I guess you could say the worst case scenario, you're out of money in 39 years. But if you're 67 years old, that's going to get you to 106. Watch what happens if I just change this to the historical average for inflation. Right now, again, this red row shows you when you're out of money, the worst case scenario last 100 years, the second worst, third worst, and so on. The median for the last 100 years, all these numbers you can see it are over 40 years. Watch what happens when I change it to 3.27. Just increase the inflation rate just a little bit. Now look at that. Remember, these were all over 40 years. Now we're running out of money in these time periods. Still not bad. If you're 67, this should get you to age 95. Watch what happens if we go to 4%. Just a 4% inflation rate. You're out of money in these time frames, folks. Even in median, you're out of money in 37 years, which isn't bad. But watch what happens if you go to 5%. Inflation is so crucial. You're out of money half the time, or the median in the last 100 years, you'd be out of money in 19 years, 50% of the time. In these different scenarios, the worst case scenario, you'd be out of money in 7 years. Just going from a 3% inflation rate, or you're out of money in 39 years. Again, a 4% inflation rate, you're out of money in 12 years. And the 5% we saw, that was drastic. So inflation is so important to plan on. Again, we don't know what it's going to be, but if we use the historical average of 3.27, shows you're out of money. Not too bad a shape here with these numbers. Now, if you take it Social Security a little bit earlier, let's go 65, watch how these numbers change. Just to show you the importance of taking into account inflation. when you consider when you might start taking your Social Security, here you see you're going to be out of money in the worst case scenario. Again, this is the worst case in the last 100 years. You'll be out of money in 10 years. That's actually the year 1928 was the worst period in the last 100 years. You'd have a 507,000 after that 21-year period from age 44 to 65. But again, when you take Social Security early, you don't get 100% of what you would get at age 67. In this case, you get 86.7. But I'm showing you a lot of information here. The main thing I wanted to show you, you need to take into account inflation. What happens when we go back to age 67, just to do an apples to apples comparison, and we go to 3.5% inflation. And see how just a little bit of inflation can really affect these numbers. Right now, you're running out of money in 28 years in the worst case scenario. When I increased from 3.27 to 3.5, now you're out of money 7 years earlier. Uh, I always like to look at the 10th worst in the last 100 years, meaning 90% of the time you'd have these kind of monies left after 34 years, you'd have your money be running out. But 10% of the time, you'd be running out of money in 34 years or less. But 90% of the time, your money would last at least 34 years, given this scenario, given taking retirement age 67. If you go to 65, and you can see you're down to 13 years. 90%, 10% of the time, you'd be out of money in 13 years or less. You can see the less going right through there. Folks, that's what we do on this channel. We just love running numbers. In this video, I just want to show you the impact inflation can have. But in other videos, we look at sequence of returns risk, the importance of your asset allocation, the relevance of this right here, and again, how Social Security can dramatically affect your financial planning. I don't want to make these videos too long, so I'm just kind of breaking them up. This one, we looked at that right now. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Please let people know about this channel. Let them know there's a channel out there that'll run numbers and look at actual numbers of what would have happened over the last 100 years and simply project ahead of what might happen in the future given similar scenarios. Please subscribe. Please like the video. Please share this with others. And thanks so much for watching.